At 100 years old, Dick Van Dyke is more than just a Hollywood legend. He is a living archive of the golden age of entertainment. From the rubber-legged charm of the Dick Van Dyke Show to the chimney sweeps of Mary Poppins, he has spent a century making the world smile. But reaching such a milestone comes with a bittersweet burden: the long list of friends, partners, and protégés he has had to leave behind. Today, on Royal Time of Hollywood, we explore the 6 celebrity deaths that left the deepest scars on the heart of this legendary centenarian. Number 1 is Mary Tyler Moore, the work wife. When a 23-year-old Mary Tyler Moore walked into the auditions for the Dick Van Dyke Show, executive producer Sheldon Leonard knew he'd found something special. Dick Van Dyke knew it too. Despite an 11-year age gap, they moved in perfect sync, creating a televised marriage so believable that America assumed it was real. Their bond was rooted in the language of dance. They didn't need dialogue to time a gag, they just needed to see each other's movement. Dick famously admitted to having a crush on Mary, but their relationship matured into a lifelong, respectful kinship. When Mary passed away in January 2017 at age 80, Dick was devastated. At her memorial, he called her the engine of their show. For Dick, losing Mary meant losing the woman who helped him become a legend. Number 2 is Carl Reiner, the brother in comedy. If Mary was his partner, Carl Reiner was his architect. Carl originally wrote the Dick Van Dyke Show for himself, but upon meeting Dick, he selflessly stepped into the role of creator and writer, letting Dick take the spotlight. It was a partnership that lasted 60 years. In their later years, the two became inseparable neighbors in Beverly Hills. Their game nights became legendary. Almost every night for decades, Dick would go to Carl's house to eat dinner and talk comedy until the late hours. When Carl passed away in 2020 at age 98, Dick remarked that the world felt much quieter. Losing Carl wasn't just losing a friend, it was losing the brother who understood his humor better than anyone else on earth. Number 3 is Rob and Michelle Reiner, the loss of a son. The bond with Carl extended to the next generation. Dick watched Rob Reiner grow from a boy playing on the studio lot into a world-famous director. To Dick, Rob was like a second son. They shared decades of family holidays and professional milestones. The sudden and shocking news of the deaths of Rob and his wife, Michelle, in early 2025 sent a ripple of grief through the industry, but for a 100-year-old Dick Van Dyke, it was an unimaginable tragedy. To outlive a man he had watched grow from childhood felt like the final closing of a door to his most cherished social circle. It was a loss that signaled the end of the old Hollywood community that had sustained him for over 60 years. Number 4 is Walt Disney, the North Star. In the early 60s, Walt Disney handpicked Dick to play Bert in Mary Poppins. Dick actually begged Walt to let him also play the elderly banker, Mr. Dawes Sr., even offering to do it for free. Walt was so impressed by Dick's screen test that he agreed, beginning a mentor-protege relationship that redefined Dick's career. Walt Disney taught Dick how to handle the pressure of the silver screen, advising him to always choose projects that made people feel good. When Walt died suddenly in 1966 from lung cancer, Dick felt like the industry had lost its North Star. Even today, when Dick walks onto a Disney lot, he says he can still feel the ghost of the man who gave him his greatest movie break. Number 5 is Gene Hackman, the gritty contemporary. Though they seemed like polar opposites, Dick the king of lighthearted slapstick and Gene Hackman the master of gritty realism, the two shared a deep mutual respect. They were peers who had survived the transformation of Hollywood together, from the studio system to the raw new Hollywood era. When Gene Hackman passed away in early 2025, Dick felt a profound sense of isolation. Gene was one of the last few people alive who understood what it was like to work in the trenches of the industry during the mid-20th century. With Gene gone, Dick remarked that a significant part of his professional world had simply vanished, leaving him as one of the few remaining keepers of those memories. Number 6 is Ed Asner, the last link. Ed Asner and Dick Van Dyke were an odd couple in the best way. Connected through the Mary Tyler Moore family of shows, they were both titans of the Screen Actors Guild. While Ed was gruff, loud and politically vocal, and Dick was sunny and optimistic. They were soulmates when it came to the craft of acting. They spent years fighting for actors' rights together. Ed's rough exterior often melted into a genuine smile in Dick's presence. When Ed passed in 2021 at age 91, Dick felt like the last man standing. Ed was the final link to the most successful years of Dick's life at the studio. Without him, there was no one left to reminisce with about the specific magic of those early taping days. Dick Van Dyke's journey to 100 has been one of immense joy, but these 6 departures highlight the high cost of a long life. He has outlived his creator, his work wife, his mentor, and even his protege. Yet, in true Van Dyke fashion, he continues to carry their spirits forward with a dance and a step and a smile for the next generation. Which of Dick Van Dyke's legendary roles is your favorite? Bert the Chimney Sweep or Rob Petrie? Let us know in the comments below. If you found this look at a century of Hollywood history moving, please hit the like button and subscribe to Royal Time of Hollywood. Don't forget to click the bell notification